The German Shepherd found her first. Agent Elena Cross lay crumpled between rusted dumpsters, blood frozen on her temple, her service weapon gone. Her canine partner, Duke, pressed against her chest, still breathing, still guarding, even as his own leg bent at an impossible angle. Commander Marcus Cole knelt in the filthy snow, his hands steady despite the rage burning through him. His dog Shadow circled once, hackles raised, eyes locked on the darkness beyond. "Who did this to you?" Marcus whispered. Elena's cracked lips moved. One word, one name. Ashford. Before we continue, drop your city or country in the comments below. I want to see how far this story travels. And please, subscribe and stay until the end, because what this Navy SEAL uncovers will shake you to your core. Marcus Cole had seen death in 14 countries. He had carried wounded brothers through burning villages in Afghanistan. He had held a dying teammate's hand in a Syrian basement while mortar shells shook the walls. He had learned to control his breathing when his heart wanted to explode. But nothing prepared him for this. "Elena, stay with me." He stripped off his NWU jacket and pressed it against the gash on her head. The digital camouflage pattern, green and brown, designed for woodland combat, turned dark with her blood. "Shadow, guard." The German Shepherd positioned himself between Elena and the alley entrance, ears flat, teeth bared. 5 years of special operations training coiled in his muscles, ready to strike. Elena's eyes fluttered open, gray-blue, unfocused, but alive. "Marcus." "Don't talk. I'm calling for help." "No." Her hand gripped his wrist with surprising strength. "They own the police. They own everyone." "Who?" "Ashford." She coughed, and pink foam appeared at the corner of her mouth. "Harrison Ashford. He's trafficking children, Marcus. Through the school." Through his own son's school. Marcus felt the world tilt. Lily's school? Elena nodded once, then her eyes rolled back. 3 hours earlier, Marcus had been making pancakes. The kitchen smelled like butter and maple syrup. Lily sat at the counter, her dark hair pulled into a ponytail, her 12-year-old face buried in a textbook. "Dad, what's the difference between the Constitution and the Bill of Rights?" "Constitution is the main document. Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments, the stuff they added to protect individual freedoms." He flipped a pancake. "Why?" "Test tomorrow." She didn't look up. "Mrs. Patterson says the Founding Fathers were geniuses." "Some of them. Others were just stubborn enough to keep fighting when everyone said they'd lose." Shadow lay beneath Lily's feet, his tan and black coat warm against her ankles. The dog hadn't left her side since they moved to Cedarbrook 6 weeks ago. He sensed what Marcus couldn't say, that the girl needed protection, even in a peaceful town. Especially in a peaceful town. "Dad?" "Yes, sweetheart?" "There's this boy at school." "Tyler Ashford." Lily's voice changed, smaller, careful. "He's mean." Marcus set down the spatula. "Mean how?" "He pushed Maya Santos into the lockers yesterday. Hard. She was crying, but nobody did anything. The teachers just looked away." "Did he hurt you?" "No." Too quick, too defensive. Marcus walked around the counter and crouched beside his daughter. Shadow lifted his head, watching. "Lily, look at me." She did. Her brown eyes, her mother's eyes, were wet. He said if I told anyone about what he does, his father would make us disappear, like the others." The pancake burned. Marcus didn't move. "What others?" I don't know. He just laughed and walked away. But Maya was shaking, Dad. She couldn't stop shaking. Marcus had learned to trust silence. In combat, silence meant danger. It meant the enemy was close, waiting, planning. Silence was never peace. It was the breath before violence. Cedar Brook was too silent. He'd noticed it during their first week. The way conversations stopped when he entered the general store. The way neighbors smiled but never made eye contact. The way the librarian's hands trembled when Lily asked about the town's history. "Beautiful place," the realtor had said. "Safe, quiet, perfect for raising a family." But Marcus had spent 15 years reading terrain, reading people, reading the space between what was said and what was meant. Something was wrong here. And now Lily had confirmed it. "Finish your breakfast," he told her. "I'm driving you to school today." "Dad, I can take the bus." "I'm driving you." Shadow stood, sensing the shift in Marcus's posture. The dog moved to the door and waited, eyes locked on his handler. Lily didn't argue. Ashford Academy sat on a hill overlooking the harbor. The building was old money. Red brick, white columns, manicured lawns, even in winter. A bronze plaque near the entrance read, "Donated by the Ashford family, 1952. Excellence through tradition." Marcus pulled into the drop-off lane and killed the engine. "Dad, you're embarrassing me." "I'll survive." He turned to face her. "Listen to me. If Tyler Ashford, if anyone, touches you or threatens you, I want you to find the nearest adult and call me immediately. Understand?" "But the teachers don't—" "I don't care what the teachers do or don't do. You call me. I will come." Lily stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I love you, Dad." "Love you too, sweetheart. Now go learn something." She grabbed her backpack, hesitated, then hugged him hard. Marcus held her, memorizing the weight of her, the smell of her shampoo, the fierce grip of her small arms. When she pulled away, her eyes were determined. "I'm not scared of him, you know." "I know." "I just don't want Maya to get hurt again." Marcus smiled. A real smile. The kind that had been rare since Afghanistan. "That's called courage, Lily. Protecting people who can't protect themselves." She walked toward the school, glancing back once. Marcus watched until she disappeared through the heavy oak doors. Then, he drove straight to the police station. Chief Harold Benson was a large man with small eyes. He sat behind his desk like a king on a throne, his uniform stretched tight across his belly, his badge polished to a mirror shine. Behind him, a framed photo showed him shaking hands with a silver-haired man in an expensive suit, Harrison Ashford. "Commander Cole." Benson didn't stand. Didn't offer a handshake. "What brings you in?" "Your town has a problem." "Oh?" "Tyler Ashford assaulted a student yesterday, Maya Santos. Witnesses saw him push her into lockers hard enough to leave bruises." Benson's expression didn't change. "Kid's roughhouse. It happens." This wasn't roughhousing. It was assault. And from what I hear, it's not the first time. "From what you hear," Benson leaned back. "Commander, I appreciate your service to this country. I really do. But you've been here, what, 6 weeks? You don't know how things work in Cedar Brook." "Enlighten me." "The Ashfords built this town. They employ half the population. They fund the schools, the hospital, the fire department. Harrison Ashford is a pillar of this community. And his son is a bully who hurts little girls?" Benson's jaw tightened. "Careful. Or what?" The two men stared at each other. Marcus didn't blink. 15 years of facing down warlords, terrorists, and men who killed for pleasure had burned away any capacity for intimidation. Benson broke first. "Look," he said, lowering his voice. "I'm going to give you some friendly advice, soldier to soldier. Don't make waves here. Don't ask questions. Just enjoy the peace. Raise your daughter. Let the town handle its own business. And if I don't?" Benson smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. People who make waves in Cedarbrook have a tendency to drift away. Marcus stood. Shadow, who had been lying at his feet, rose with him, a low growl building in his throat. "I don't drift, Chief. I anchor." He walked out without looking back. The call came at 4:47 p.m. Marcus was in the garage, cleaning his weapons, a habit from his SEAL days that he'd never broken. Shadow lay nearby, watching with patient eyes. His phone buzzed. "Mr. Cole, this is the front office at Ashford Academy. We need you to come pick up your daughter." Marcus's hand tightened on the gun oil rag. "Is she hurt?" "There's been an incident. Principal Whitmore would like to speak with you." "I'm on my way." Lily sat in a plastic chair outside the principal's office. Her knees were drawn up, her arms wrapped around them. A red mark bloomed on her left cheek. Marcus felt something cold and ancient rise in his chest. "Lily." She looked up. Her eyes were dry but furious. "He hit me, Dad. Tyler hit me because I told him to leave Maya alone." "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, but they're trying to say I started it." "You didn't." "I know." The door opened. Principal Whitmore emerged, a thin woman in her 50s with perfectly styled gray hair and the smile that looked painted on. "Mr. Cole, thank you for coming. Please, step inside." The office was immaculate. Leather chairs, mahogany desk, diplomas on the walls. And seated in the corner, a teenage boy with cold blue eyes and a smirk that made Marcus's trigger finger itch. Tyler Ashford. "Mr. Cole," Whitmore began, "I understand this is your daughter's first disciplinary incident." "My daughter was assaulted." "Well, that's a matter of perspective." "No, it's not." Marcus turned to face Tyler directly. The boy didn't flinch, but something flickered in his eyes. Fear, maybe. Or excitement. "You put your hands on my daughter." "That's not perspective. That's fact." Tyler's smirk widened. "She was being annoying. Always defending that little immigrant girl. Someone had to teach her to mind her own business." "Tyler," Whitmore said sharply, "that's enough." "What? My dad says people like them don't belong here anyway. They should go back where they came from." Marcus took one step toward the boy. Just one. But it was enough to make Tyler scramble backward, knocking over his chair, his face suddenly white. "Let me be very clear," Marcus said, his voice low, controlled, and terrifying. "If you ever touch my daughter again, if you so much as look at her wrong, I will take apart everything your family has built, piece by piece, legally, publicly, permanently. Do you understand me?" Tyler's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "I asked you a question, son." Yes, sir." Marcus turned to Whitmore. The principal had gone pale. "My daughter will be returning to school tomorrow. If there's any retaliation, any at all, I'll have federal investigators in this building within 48 hours. I still have friends in places your donors can't reach." He extended his hand to Lily. She took it and stood. "Let's go home, sweetheart." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat on the back porch in the freezing darkness, watching his breath cloud in the air. Shadow lay beside him, pressed against his leg. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Commander Cole?" A woman's voice, professional, cautious. "Who is this?" "My name is Elena Cross. I'm with the FBI. I need to meet with you. Tonight. It's about the Ashfords." Marcus felt the familiar rush of adrenaline. the pre-mission clarity that had kept him alive through dozens of operations. Where? The harbor, Pier 7, 1 hour. Come alone. I don't go anywhere without my dog. A pause, then, fine, but come armed, Commander. These people don't play by rules. The line went dead. Pier 7 was abandoned. Old fishing boats rocked against rotting pylons, their hulls dark with neglect. The wind off the water cut like a blade, carrying the smell of salt and diesel. Marcus moved through the shadows, shadow at his heel. His hand rested on the Glock beneath his jacket, finger indexed along the frame. A figure emerged from behind a shipping container. Elena Cross was younger than he expected, 30 maybe. Dark brown hair pulled back, gray-blue eyes that scanned the darkness with trained precision. She wore a tactical jacket over her FBI windbreaker, and her hand hovered near her own weapon. Beside her stood a Belgian Malinois in a canine vest. The dog's eyes locked onto Shadow, assessing, calculating. "Commander Cole," Elena stepped forward. "Thank you for coming." "You said this was about the Ashfords." "It is. What I'm about to tell you doesn't leave this pier. Understood?" Marcus nodded. Elena took a breath. "I've been investigating Harrison Ashford for 14 months. Human trafficking, child exploitation, murder." The word hung in the frozen air. Murder. 7 children have disappeared from Cedarbrook in the last 3 years. All from immigrant families. All students at Ashford Academy. Official reports say they moved away or ran off. But I've tracked the money, Commander. I've traced the shell companies, the offshore accounts, the private flights. "Where are the children?" Elena's jaw tightened. "Some were sold overseas. Others—" She couldn't finish. Marcus felt the cold seep deeper than the winter night. "My daughter goes to that school." "I know. That's why I contacted you. Tyler Ashford isn't just a bully. He's a recruiter. He identifies vulnerable children, immigrants, foster kids, anyone without powerful parents to ask questions. He reports back to his father." "And the police?" "Benson is on the payroll. So is half the town council." "Ashford has built a machine, Commander. A perfect, quiet machine that feeds on children and silence." Shadow growled, low and sustained. His ears swiveled toward the darkness at the far end of the pier. Elena's Malinois did the same. "We're not alone," Marcus said. "No," Elena drew her weapon. "We're not." They came from 3 directions. 4 men in dark clothes, moving fast, no weapons visible, but trained in their approach. Not amateurs, not street thugs. Private military, contractors. Marcus recognized the type. He'd worked alongside them. He'd fought against them. "Behind me," he told Elena. "I can handle myself." "I don't doubt it, but I know how these men move. Stay behind me and cover my 6." The first attacker reached them in seconds. Marcus caught the incoming punch, redirected the momentum, and drove his elbow into the man's throat. The contractor dropped, gasping. Shadow launched at the second. 70 pounds of muscle and fury, teeth sinking into the man's forearm before he could draw a knife. Elena fired twice. Controlled. Accurate. The third man went down clutching his knee. The fourth hesitated. "Run," Marcus said quietly. "Run back to your boss. Tell him Marcus Cole is coming. Tell him what I did to men like him in Fallujah. Tell him I don't stop, I don't forget, and I don't forgive." The man ran. Elena was shaking when the adrenaline faded. That was Harrison's security team. Ex-military. Highly paid. "I know." "He knows I'm here. He knows about the investigation." She looked at Marcus. "He's going to accelerate the timeline." "What timeline?" "There's a shipment scheduled for tomorrow night. 6 children. They've been held at a facility outside town, waiting for transport. Elena's voice cracked. One of them is Maya Santos. Marcus thought of Lily's words that morning. Maya was shaking, Dad. She couldn't stop shaking. Where's the facility? I don't know yet, but I have a contact inside the academy, a teacher who's been feeding me information. She's supposed to call me tonight with the location. As if summoned, Elena's phone buzzed. She answered, listened, and her face went pale. What is it? Elena lowered the phone. My contact is dead. They found her body an hour ago. Ruled a suicide. Shadow pressed against Marcus's leg, whining. We need to get you somewhere safe, Marcus said. Now. No, I need to... Agent Cross. Elena, you're compromised. They know your face, your location, your investigation. If you stay exposed, you'll be dead by morning. I don't care about... I do. Marcus stepped closer. Because you're the only person in this town who can bring these people down. And I need you alive to do it. Elena stared at him for a long moment. Why do you care? You just moved here. You could take your daughter and leave tonight. Because those are children, Agent Cross. Because Maya Santos was too scared to breathe. Because my daughter looked at me this morning and asked why the teachers do nothing. Marcus's voice hardened. Because I spent 15 years protecting this country from monsters overseas, and I'll be damned if I let them thrive in my own backyard. Elena's eyes glistened. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Where do we go? My house. It's secure. We plan tonight, we move tomorrow. They never made it to the house. The ambush came on Harbor Road, half a mile from the pier. A black SUV slammed into Elena's vehicle from the side, spinning it into a guardrail. Marcus swerved, but a second SUV blocked the road ahead. Men poured out. 8, 10, too many to count in the chaos. Marcus drew his weapon and fired, dropping 2. Shadow tore into a third, dragging him to the ground. But there were too many. A blow caught Marcus from behind. He stumbled, turned, and took a boot to the ribs. Pain exploded through his chest. Through the haze, he saw them pulling Elena from her car. Saw them kick her canine when the dog tried to defend her. Saw them drag her into the darkness. Elena! Another blow. Then another. Shadow's desperate bark was the last thing he heard before the world went black. He woke to cold. Brutal, bone-deep cold. Marcus forced his eyes open. He was lying in snow, behind some building, garbage scattered around him. Blood crusted his face. His ribs screamed with every breath. Shadow stood over him, limping but alive, tongue warm against Marcus's cheek. Good boy, Marcus rasped. Good boy. He forced himself upright, fighting the dizziness, the pain, the rage. They had taken Elena. They had beaten him and left him for dead. They had made the worst mistake of their lives. Marcus pulled out his phone. Cracked screen, but functional. He dialed a number he hadn't used in 2 years. This is Cole. I need a favor, and I need it now. The voice on the other end was calm, professional, lethal. What do you need, Commander? Everything you have on Harrison Ashford. Bank accounts, properties, security details, known associates, everything. That's a lot of digging. Then start digging. Marcus struggled to his feet, using Shadow for support. Because tomorrow night, I'm going to war. The phone call lasted 47 seconds. Marcus limped through the snow toward his truck, every breath a knife in his ribs. Shadow moved beside him, favoring his front left leg, but refusing to slow down. I've got preliminary data, the voice said. His name was Rodriguez, a former intelligence analyst Marcus had saved in Helmand Province 8 years ago. Ashford Industries has 17 shell companies registered in Delaware alone. Money flows in from medical supply contracts, flows out to accounts in the Caymans, Cyprus, and Dubai. What about properties? 3 that aren't on public record. A warehouse near the old cannery, a hunting lodge 40 miles north, and something called The Retreat, listed as a youth rehabilitation center, but it hasn't filed proper documentation in 4 years. Marcus reached his truck. The driver's side mirror was shattered, the door dented, but the engine turned over. Send me everything. Coordinates, security layouts, anything you can find. Marcus, Rodriguez's voice dropped. These people have connections. FBI, DEA, Homeland. Someone high up is protecting them. I know. Be careful, brother. Careful died about an hour ago. He ended the call and drove toward home, checking his mirrors every 30 seconds. His hands were steady on the wheel, but his mind was racing. Elena was alive. She had to be alive. Dead witnesses couldn't be interrogated, couldn't reveal what they knew. Ashford would want information first. That bought Marcus time. Maybe 12 hours. Maybe less. The house was dark when he pulled into the driveway. Wrong. Lily always left the porch light on. Marcus drew his weapon before his boots hit the ground. Shadow was already moving, nose to the air, hackles raised. The dog circled once, then shot toward the back of the house. Marcus followed. The back door hung open, swinging in the wind. Inside, furniture was overturned. A lamp shattered on the floor, and on the kitchen table, a single piece of paper. Marcus picked it up. His blood turned to ice. Your daughter is safe, for now. Stop asking questions, and she stays that way. Continue, and you'll find pieces of her in your mailbox. A. Shadow whined at his feet. Marcus read the note again. Then again. His hands began to shake, not from fear, but from something far more dangerous. Pure, crystalline rage. He pulled out his phone and dialed Mrs. Henderson, the elderly neighbor who sometimes watched Lily. Hello? Mrs. Henderson, it's Marcus Cole. Is Lily with you? Why, yes, dear. She came over about an hour ago. Said you called and asked her to wait here. Is everything all right? The relief hit Marcus so hard he had to grab the counter. Everything's fine. I'm coming to get her now. Don't let her leave. Don't let anyone in except me. Marcus, you're scaring me. Good. Stay scared. Stay alert. I'll be there in 2 minutes. He hung up and looked at the note again. They had come for his daughter. They had entered his home. They had tried to take what mattered most. And they had failed. But they wouldn't stop. Marcus tucked the note into his pocket and headed for the door. Shadow fell into step beside him, limping but ready. Time to change the rules, Marcus said. Lily was sitting on Mrs. Henderson's couch when he arrived, her face pale but composed. The moment she saw him, she launched herself into his arms. Dad! Someone broke into the house! I heard them downstairs and climbed out my window. I remembered what you taught me. You did perfect, sweetheart. He held her tight, breathing in the scent of her hair, feeling her heart pound against his chest. You did exactly right. Who were they? What do they want? Marcus pulled back and looked into her eyes. She deserved the truth. She was old enough, strong enough, brave enough. Bad people, Lily. Very bad people who hurt children for money. I'm going to stop them. But first, I need to get you somewhere safe. I'm not leaving you. Lily, no. Her jaw set in a way that reminded him painfully of her mother. Maya is still out there. Other kids are in danger. I'm not running away while you fight alone. This isn't a game. I know it's not a game, her voice cracked. Tyler told me what happens to kids who cause problems. He said they disappear. He said nobody ever finds them. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Dad, Maya hasn't been at school in 2 days. Nobody will tell me where she is. Marcus felt the weight of it settle on his shoulders. His daughter had seen the darkness, had touched it, had been threatened by it, and instead of breaking, she wanted to fight. Okay, he said quietly. Okay, but you follow my orders. Every single one. No arguments. No hesitation. Understood? Lily nodded fiercely. Good. Pack a bag. We're not coming back here until this is over. 3 hours later, they were in a motel 30 miles outside Cedarbrook. Marcus had paid cash, used a fake name, parked the truck behind the building where it couldn't be seen from the road. Lily sat on one of the beds, her backpack clutched to her chest, watching him check and recheck his weapons. Dad, who's the woman they took? Marcus paused. Her name is Elena Cross. She's an FBI agent. Is she your friend? I just met her tonight. But she's trying to save children like Maya. That makes her worth saving. Are you going to rescue her? Marcus looked at his daughter. 12 years old, still believing her father could do anything. He hoped he wouldn't prove her wrong. Yes. Good. Lily's voice was small, but certain. Because nobody else will. Shadow jumped onto the bed beside her and laid his head in her lap. Lily stroked his ears, her fingers trembling slightly. Dad, I'm scared. I know, sweetheart. But I'm also angry. Is that okay? Marcus sat beside her and put his arm around her shoulders. Anger is a tool, Lily. Like a knife. It can protect you or destroy you, depending on how you use it. He kissed the top of her head. Use it to stay sharp. Use it to stay alive. But don't let it make you cruel. Is that what you learned in the Navy? That's what I learned from your mother. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then, I miss her. Me too, sweetheart. Every day. They sat in silence, the three of them, while the wind howled outside and the clock ticked toward dawn. At 4 a.m., Marcus's phone buzzed. Rodriguez. I found the retreat. It's an old psychiatric facility, decommissioned in 2015. Officially abandoned, but satellite imagery shows vehicles coming and going at irregular intervals, always at night. Heat signatures suggest approximately 15 to 20 people inside. Security? Perimeter cameras, motion sensors, at least 6 armed guards on rotating shifts. Professional setup. These aren't amateurs. What about inside the building? I can't confirm layout, but based on the original blueprints, there's a basement level with reinforced rooms. If they're holding anyone, that's where they'd be. Marcus memorized the coordinates. What about Elena Cross? Any word? Nothing official. But I intercepted a communication from Ashford's security chief about an hour ago. They're moving a high-value asset to the retreat at 600. Marcus checked his watch. Less than 2 hours. One more thing, Rodriguez said. Harrison Ashford has a private jet fueled and ready at the county airfield. Flight plan filed for the Bahamas. Departure scheduled for tomorrow evening. He's running. He's cleaning up. Whatever happens tonight, he plans to be out of the country before anyone can stop him. Marcus ended the call and began gathering his gear. Dad? Lily's voice was sleepy, frightened. What's happening? I have to go. Now? Now. He knelt beside the bed. Listen to me carefully. You stay in this room. You don't open the door for anyone except me. You keep Shadow with you at all times. If anyone tries to get in, you go out the bathroom window and run to the gas station across the highway. You call 911 and you don't stop running until the police arrive. Real police, state troopers, not local. Dad, promise me, Lily. She threw her arms around his neck. Promise me you'll come back. Marcus held her, memorizing every detail. The way she smelled, the way she trembled, the way her heart beat against his. I promise. He stood, checked his weapon one final time, and walked to the door. Shadow whined, torn between his handler and the girl he'd been trained to protect. Stay, Marcus commanded. Guard. The dog's ears flattened, but he obeyed. He jumped back onto the bed and pressed against Lily's side, his eyes never leaving Marcus. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything in this world. He opened the door, stepped into the darkness, and didn't look back. The retreat sat at the end of a dirt road, surrounded by dead trees and chain-link fence. Marcus had parked a mile out and approached on foot, using the terrain for cover. His NWU uniform blended with the winter forest, greens and browns dissolving into shadow. Through his binoculars, he counted 4 guards on the perimeter, 2 at the main gate, 2 patrolling the fence line, all armed with automatic weapons, all moving with military precision. Ex-special forces, probably. Contractors who'd sold their training to the highest bidder. Marcus had known men like them, had fought beside them, fought against them. He knew their strengths. He also knew their weaknesses. At 0547, headlights appeared on the access road. A black SUV, windows tinted, moving fast. It stopped at the main gate. Words were exchanged. Then the gate opened and the vehicle disappeared inside. Elena was in that SUV. Marcus was certain of it. He checked his watch. 13 minutes until sunrise. 13 minutes until the advantage of darkness disappeared. He moved. The first guard never heard him coming. Marcus emerged from the shadows like a wraith, his arm wrapping around the man's throat, cutting off air and sound simultaneously. 8 seconds of pressure, and the guard went limp. Marcus lowered him to the ground, zip-tied his hands and feet, and continued. The second guard was harder. He was alert, scanning the tree line, one hand on his radio. Marcus waited until the man turned, then threw a stone into the brush 10 feet away. The guard spun toward the sound. Marcus closed the distance in 3 strides, driving his knee into the man's kidney, then slamming his head against the fence post. The guard crumpled. 2 down, 2 to go. The remaining guards were at the main gate, 50 yards away. Too far for stealth. Too exposed for a direct approach. Marcus needed a distraction. He pulled out his phone, opened the signal jammer Rodriguez had helped him configure, and activated it. Inside the facility, alarms began to wail. The guards at the gate exchanged confused looks. One spoke into his radio, got no response, spoke again. Panic crept into his movements. "Check the east perimeter," he shouted to his partner. "I'll hold the gate." The second guard jogged away, weapon raised. Marcus intercepted him behind the generator shed. The fight was brief but brutal. The guard was well-trained, fast, dangerous. But Marcus had spent 15 years in the most elite combat unit on Earth. He had killed men in hand-to-hand combat in 3 different war zones. 30 seconds later, the guard was unconscious, his nose shattered, his arm bent at an unnatural angle. Marcus approached the final guard from behind, using the chaos of the blaring alarm as cover. "Drop your weapon," he said quietly. The guard spun, reaching for his sidearm. Marcus shot him in the shoulder before his hand reached the holster. The man screamed, fell, clutched his wound. "Where are they keeping the FBI agent?" "I don't—" Marcus stepped on the wound. The guard screamed again. "Where?" "Basement! Basement level! 3rd door on the left!" "And the children?" "What children? I don't know anything about—" Marcus pressed harder. "Room 7! They're in room 7!" Marcus released the pressure, zip-tied the guard's hands, and headed for the main building. The interior was chaos. Staff members ran through the halls, shouting into dead radios, trying to understand why their communications had failed. Marcus moved through them like a ghost, his weapon raised, his focus absolute. He found the stairs to the basement behind a reinforced door. It was locked electronically, but the power surge from the jammer had shorted the system. He kicked it open and descended. The basement smelled of mold and fear. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting strange shadows on the concrete walls. Doors lined both sides of the corridor. Heavy steel, industrial locks, small windows reinforced with wire mesh. Marcus counted. First door, second door, third door on the left. He looked through the window. Elena. She was strapped to a metal chair, her face bruised, her lip split. Blood matted her dark hair, but her eyes were open, alert, defiant. A man stood over her, his back to the door. Expensive suit, silver hair, polished shoes. Harrison Ashford. "Agent Cross," Ashford was saying, his voice smooth, cultured, patient. "You've caused me a great deal of trouble. Years of careful work, meticulous planning, all threatened by your stubborn sense of justice." Elena spat blood at his feet. "You're finished, Ashford. The FBI knows everything. They're coming." "Are they?" Ashford smiled. "Agent Cross, I've owned federal officials since before you were born. Your investigation has been compromised from the beginning. Every report you filed, every lead you followed, I knew about it within hours. Then why am I still alive? Because I need to know who helped you. Who's your contact inside my organization? Who gave you the shipping manifests?" Elena laughed, a broken, painful sound. "You think I'll tell you? You think torture will work on me? I've been trained by better monsters than you, Ashford." Ashford's smile faded. "We'll see." He turned toward the door, and Marcus pressed himself against the wall, heart pounding. "Bring the girl," Ashford called to someone down the hall. "The young one, Maya Santos. Perhaps Agent Cross will be more cooperative when she watches a child suffer." Marcus didn't hesitate. He kicked open the door, weapon raised, and fired twice. The first bullet took Ashford in the leg. The second shattered the kneecap of the guard who'd been standing in the corner. Both men went down screaming. "Elena." Marcus rushed to her side, cutting the straps with his knife. "Can you walk?" "I can run if I have to." She grabbed his arm, her grip surprisingly strong. "The children, room 7. "I know. Come on." They moved down the corridor, Elena limping but determined. Behind them, Ashford was shouting, calling for backup that couldn't hear him through the jammed communications. Room 7 was larger than the others. Inside, Marcus saw them. 6 children huddled together on thin mattresses, their faces hollow, their eyes empty. The youngest couldn't have been more than 7. The oldest was Maya Santos, her arms wrapped protectively around the smaller ones. When Maya saw Elena, she burst into tears. "You came back! You came back!" Elena rushed forward, pulling the girl into her arms. "I promised, didn't I? I promised I'd come back for you." Marcus scanned the room, counting heads, assessing injuries. The children were frightened, malnourished, traumatized, but alive. "We need to move," he said. "Now." Elena nodded, wiping her eyes. "Can you carry the little ones?" "I'll manage. You lead them out. Stay close to the walls. Avoid the main corridors." "What about Ashford?" Marcus looked back toward the room where he'd left the man bleeding. "He's not going anywhere." They moved as a group, Marcus carrying 2 children, Elena guiding the others, Maya holding hands with a boy who couldn't stop shaking. The stairs were clear. The main floor was chaos, and outside, the first light of dawn was breaking over the dead trees. Marcus heard it before he saw it, the rhythmic thump of helicopter blades. "Get to the tree line!" he shouted. "Go! Go!" Elena herded the children toward the forest as Marcus turned to face the approaching aircraft. It wasn't police, wasn't FBI. It was a private helicopter, Ashford Industries logo on the side. And standing in the open door, a rifle in his hands, was Tyler Ashford. "You should have stayed out of it, soldier," Tyler screamed over the rotor wash. "You should have just let it go!" He raised the rifle. Marcus dove as the first bullets tore into the ground where he'd been standing. He rolled, came up firing, but the helicopter was already banking away, circling for another pass. "Dad!" The scream cut through the noise like a blade. Marcus spun, and his world collapsed. Lily was running toward him across the open ground. Shadow bounded beside her, barking frantically. "Lily, no!" The helicopter turned. Tyler saw the girl, and he smiled. Marcus ran faster than he'd ever run in his life. The rifle swung toward his daughter. Time stopped. And then Shadow launched himself into the air. The dog hit Tyler at full speed, 70 pounds of muscle and fury slamming into the teenager. The rifle discharged wild, bullets spraying into the sky. Tyler screamed, falling backward, and Shadow went with him. Both of them tumbling from the helicopter, plummeting toward the frozen earth below.
"Shadow!"
Marcus caught Lily, shielded her, pulled her down as the helicopter spun out of control, the pilot fighting to regain stability. When he looked up, the aircraft was retreating, smoke trailing from its engine. And on the ground, 30 yards away, a dark shape lay motionless in the snow. Lily was crying, screaming, struggling against his grip. "Shadow! Shadow!" Marcus released her. She ran. He followed. The German shepherd lay on his side, breathing shallow, blood pooling beneath his tan and black coat. His eyes were open, fixed on Lily as she fell to her knees beside him. "No, no, no, no!" Marcus knelt, his hands finding the wound, deep in the shoulder, but not fatal, not if they moved fast. "He's alive, Lily, he's alive, but we need to get him help." "He saved me." Lily's voice broke completely. "He saved me, Dad." Marcus looked at his dog, his partner, his brother, his friend, and felt something crack inside his chest. "That's what he does, sweetheart."
"That's what heroes do."
In the distance, sirens began to wail. Real sirens this time. State police, FBI. The cavalry Elena had called before her capture, finally arriving. Marcus gathered Shadow in his arms, feeling the dog's weak heartbeat against his chest. "Stay with me, boy. Stay with me." Shadow's tail twitched once, and against all odds, the dog licked Marcus's hand. The veterinary clinic was 15 miles from the retreat, and Marcus drove like a man possessed. Lily sat in the back seat, Shadow's head cradled in her lap, her hands pressed against the blood-soaked bandage Marcus had made from his jacket. Tears streamed down her face, but her voice was steady, constant, desperate. "Stay with me, boy. You hear me? You stay with me." Shadow's breathing was shallow, his eyes half closed, but his tail moved weakly against the seat every time Lily spoke. Elena sat in the passenger seat, her phone pressed to her ear, barking orders at whoever was on the other end. "I need a full tactical team at Ashford's residence within the hour. Harrison Ashford is wounded but mobile. His son Tyler fell from a helicopter. I don't know if he survived. And I need federal marshals at the county airfield. Ashford has a jet, fueled and ready." She listened, then cursed. "What do you mean, jurisdictional issues? This is a federal trafficking case. Children, Peterson. 6 children we just pulled out of that facility." Marcus glanced at her. "Problems?" "Local officials are stonewalling. Someone's making calls, slowing everything down." Elena's jaw tightened. Ashford's network runs deeper than I thought. Then we go around them. How? I have friends who don't care about jurisdiction. The clinic appeared ahead, a small building with a single light burning in the window. Marcus pulled up to the door and was out before the engine stopped. The veterinarian was a woman in her 60s named Dr. Sarah Chen.
She took one look at Shadow and pointed to the back room. "Bring him in, now." Marcus carried the dog as gently as he'd ever carried anything in his life. Shadow whimpered once, then went still. "He's lost a lot of blood," Dr. Chen said, her hands already moving, assessing. "The bullet's still in there. I need to operate immediately. Will he make it?" Dr. Chen looked at Marcus with eyes that had seen too many animals die. "I don't know, but I'll do everything I can." "Please," Lily's voice cracked. "Please save him. He's a hero." Dr. Chen's expression softened. She placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. "Then he's got something to fight for. Heroes don't give up easily." She disappeared into the operating room, and the door swung shut behind her. Lily collapsed against Marcus, sobbing. "This is my fault. I should have stayed at the motel. I should have listened." "Hey," Marcus knelt, taking her face in his hands. "Look at me. This is not your fault." "None of this is your fault. But if you hadn't come, Tyler might have killed me. Shadow did what he was trained to do. He protected you because he loves you, and he's going to fight to come back to you because that's who he is." Lily wiped her eyes. "You really think so?" "I know so." Elena appeared in the doorway, her phone still in hand. "Marcus, we have a problem." "Just one?" "Tyler Ashford survived the fall. He's at the county hospital under guard. But here's the thing. He's talking." Marcus stood. "Talking?" "Singing like a bird. Blaming everything on his father. Saying he was forced, manipulated, threatened. His lawyers are already spinning a story about an abused child doing what he was told." "That's insane. He tried to shoot my daughter." "I know, but he's 16, and his father's lawyers are very, very good." Elena's voice dropped. "There's more. Harrison Ashford isn't at the retreat. He's not at his house. He's not at the airfield." "Where is he?" "That's what I'm trying to find out. But Marcus—" She hesitated. "He called me." "What?" 20 minutes ago. Blocked number. He said he knows where your daughter goes to school. He knows the route she takes. He knows the motel you were staying at." Elena's eyes were haunted. "He said if I don't drop the investigation, he'll make sure she disappears. Not to sell, just to hurt you." Marcus felt the cold rage return, settling into his bones like an old friend. "Did you trace the call?" "Trying, but he's using encrypted channels, bouncing through multiple servers. Whoever's helping him has serious technical resources." Marcus looked at his daughter, small, brave, still shaking from everything she'd witnessed. "Lily, I need you to stay here with Shadow. Can you do that?" "Where are you going?" "To end this." "Dad." "I'll come back. I promise." She stared at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Kill him," she whispered. Marcus froze. "What?" "The man who hurt those children. The man who tried to hurt me." Lily's eyes were dry now, hard. "Kill him, Dad, so he can never hurt anyone again." Marcus didn't know what to say. His 12-year-old daughter, his innocent, book-loving, pancake-eating little girl, had just asked him to commit murder. And part of him wanted to say yes. "That's not who we are, sweetheart." "Then who are we?" Marcus knelt one more time, his hands on her shoulders. "We're the people who bring monsters into the light. We let justice do its work. We don't become the thing we're fighting." "But what if justice doesn't work? What if his lawyers get him off? What if he runs away to some country that won't send him back?" "Then we keep fighting. We keep exposing the truth.
We make sure the whole world knows what he did." Marcus kissed her forehead. "The darkest thing evil does is make us believe we have to become evil to stop it. We don't. We just have to be braver than we think we can be."
Lily hugged him fiercely. "I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, baby girl, more than anything." He stood, turned to Elena, and his face transformed back into the warrior she'd first met. "Let's go." They drove in silence for the first 5 minutes. Elena was working her phone, pulling data, making calls. Marcus kept his eyes on the road, his mind calculating variables like he was planning a military operation. "I think I know where he is," Elena said suddenly. "Where?" "His yacht, the Sovereign. It's moored at a private dock about 20 miles up the coast. I always thought it was just for show, but the harbor master's records show it's been fueled and provisioned for an extended voyage." "He's running by sea." "International waters are 12 miles out. Once he crosses that line, everything gets complicated." Marcus pressed the accelerator. "Then we don't let him cross." The private dock was a fortress, chain-link fence topped with razor wire, security cameras on every corner, guards patrolling with military precision. Marcus counted 6 men, all armed, all alert. "We can't assault that," Elena said. "Not without backup." "When's backup arriving?" 2 hours, maybe 3. The jurisdictional issues." "In 2 hours, he's gone." Elena stared at the dock, frustration burning in her eyes. "Then what do we do?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled out his phone and dialed. "Rodriguez, I need another favor. The yacht Sovereign, moored at coordinates I'm about to send you. Can you access the navigation system?" He listened. "Good. Disable it. Kill the engines remotely if you can." More listening. "I don't care if it's illegal. Children were sold, Rodriguez. 6 of them. The man responsible is about to disappear forever." Marcus's voice hardened. "Do it." He ended the call. "What did he say?" "Give him 10 minutes." 8 minutes later, shouts erupted from the dock. Guards were running toward the yacht. Alarms were sounding. Through the binoculars, Marcus could see crew members frantically checking instruments, making calls, arguing. "The engines won't start," Elena breathed. "You actually did it." "Rodriguez did it. I just asked nicely." "Now what?" Marcus pulled his weapon and checked the magazine. "Now we go fishing." They approached from the water side, using a small inflatable Marcus had found in a nearby boathouse. Elena paddled while Marcus kept watch, his weapon trained on the yacht. The guards were distracted, focused on the mechanical failure. No one was watching the dark water. They reached the hull without detection. Marcus went up the ladder first, moving silent as a shadow. He pulled himself over the rail and immediately dropped the first guard with a chokehold. Elena was right behind him, her service weapon drawn. "Federal agent!" she shouted. "Everyone on the ground! Now!" Chaos erupted. Guards reached for weapons. Marcus moved through them like a force of nature, disarming, incapacitating, never killing. Years of training, years of discipline, channeled into precise, devastating violence. In 45 seconds, it was over. 6 guards lay groaning on the deck. Elena was zip-tying their hands while Marcus advanced toward the main cabin. "Harrison Ashford," he called. "It's over. Come out with your hands up." Silence. Then a voice, cultured and calm, drifted from within. "Commander Cole, I was wondering when you'd arrive." Marcus kicked open the door. Harrison Ashford sat in a leather chair, a glass of whiskey in his hand, dressed in an impeccable suit despite everything that had happened. His leg was bandaged. Marcus's bullet had done its work, but his face showed no pain, only contempt.
You've caused me a great deal of inconvenience, Ashford said. Do you have any idea how much this operation was worth? How many years of work you've destroyed? You sold children.
I provided a service. Supply and demand, Commander. The fundamental law of economics. Marcus raised his weapon. Give me one reason not to kill you right now. Ashford smiled. Because you're not a murderer. You're a soldier. You follow rules, codes, chains of command. It's admirable, really. Predictable, but admirable. My daughter asked me to kill you. The smile flickered, just for a moment. She saw something worth protecting, Ashford said. So did you. The difference between us is that you protect out of sentiment. I protect out of necessity. What does that mean? It means I didn't build this operation alone, Commander. Ashford set down his whiskey. I have partners, powerful partners, men in Washington, in Brussels, in Beijing, men who will be very unhappy if I'm arrested, if I start talking, if certain information comes to light. Is that a threat? It's a fact. Kill me, and you become a murderer. Arrest me, and my lawyers will have me out in 24 hours. And even if they don't, even if some miracle of justice actually prevails, do you think this ends? Do you think the network disappears because one man goes to prison? Elena appeared in the doorway. He's stalling. Don't listen to him. Agent Cross. Ashford nodded politely. You look terrible. I apologize for my security team's enthusiasm. Where are the records? Elena demanded. Names, dates, transactions. Where do you keep them? Destroyed, of course. The moment things went wrong at the retreat, I initiated a complete purge. There's nothing left to find. You're lying. Am I? Ashford spread his hands. Search the yacht. Search my house. Search every property I own. You'll find nothing. I'm very thorough, Agent Cross. It's how I've survived this long. Marcus saw Elena's face fall. The evidence. The proof. Everything they needed to bring down the network. Gone. But something in Ashford's voice was wrong. Too confident. Too practiced. You're bluffing, Marcus said. Excuse me? You didn't destroy the records. You couldn't. They're your insurance policy. The only thing protecting you from your partners. Ashford's smile tightened. You're smarter than you look, Commander. Where are they? Even if I told you, you'd never access them. Encrypted files, distributed across multiple servers, with biometric locks that require my living presence to open. Ashford's eyes gleamed. Kill me, and the records are lost forever. Arrest me, and they stay locked. Either way, you lose. Marcus felt the frustration building. The man was a snake, slithering out of every trap. Then Elena stepped forward. What about your son? Ashford's composure cracked. Just barely, but enough. What about him? He's talking, Mr. Ashford. Telling everyone that you forced him, threatened him, abused him. He's positioning himself as a victim. Elena's voice was cold. But you and I both know that's not true, don't we? Tyler wasn't a victim. He was a willing participant. He enjoyed it. Tyler is a child. Tyler identified targets. Tyler helped recruit. Tyler personally assaulted Maya Santos and at least 3 other children. Elena moved closer. I have witnesses. I have medical records. I have Tyler's own text messages recovered from a cloud backup he didn't know existed. Ashford's face went pale. You're bluffing. The Santos girl is perfect, Elena quoted. Small, quiet, nobody will miss her. Dad will be pleased. That's what your son wrote to a friend 2 weeks ago. That friend is now in federal custody, and he's very cooperative. Silence. Marcus watched Ashford's mask crumble. The polish, the confidence, the aristocratic disdain, all of it collapsing under the weight of a father's love for his monstrous son. "What do you want?" Ashford whispered. "The records. All of them. Every name, every transaction, every connection." Elena's voice didn't waver. "Give them to me, and I'll recommend leniency for Tyler. He'll go to juvenile detention, not adult prison. He'll have a chance at rehabilitation. And if I refuse, then I'll make sure Tyler is tried as an adult. I'll make sure every detail of what he did is made public. And I'll make sure he spends the rest of his life in a federal penitentiary where the other inmates will know exactly what he did to those children." Ashford stared at her. "You would destroy a 16-year-old boy to get to me?" "I would let justice take its course, the same justice those children deserved." Elena leaned in. "You have 30 seconds to decide." The longest 30 seconds of Marcus's life. Ashford looked at him, then at Elena, then at the floor. His shoulders sagged, his hands trembled. "The records are in a safety deposit box at First National Bank in Burlington. Box 743. The biometric lock requires my thumbprint and retinal scan. We'll arrange a supervised visit." "There's something else." Ashford's voice was hollow now, defeated. "Something you need to know." "What?" "The network. The people I work with. They're not just businessmen. They're connected to intelligence agencies. American, foreign, both. They've been operating for decades, using trafficking as a funding source for black operations." Elena's face went white. "You're saying this goes to the government?" "I'm saying it goes everywhere. Politicians, generals, judges, names that would shake the foundations of this country." Ashford looked up, and for the first time, Marcus saw fear in his eyes. "If you pursue this, Agent Cross, they will come for you. They will come for everyone you love. They will burn everything you've built." "Let them try." "You don't understand. These aren't men who fight fair. They don't follow rules. They don't leave witnesses." Marcus stepped forward. "Neither do I." Ashford stared at him. "You're a fool, Commander. A noble, honorable fool. And they will destroy you for it." "Maybe, but at least I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror." Marcus holstered his weapon. "Take him, Elena. I need to check on my dog." Elena cuffed Ashford and led him toward the deck. Marcus stood alone in the cabin, breathing slowly, processing everything he'd heard. A network that reached into the government, intelligence agencies, black operations. He'd fought terrorists, warlords, dictators. But this was different. This was wrought at the heart of the system itself. His phone buzzed. Dr. Chen. "Commander Cole, the surgery was successful. Shadow is stable. He's going to make it." Marcus closed his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you so much." "There's something else. Your daughter asked me to tell you something." "What?" She said, "Tell my dad that heroes don't give up, and neither do we." Marcus felt tears prick his eyes for the first time in years. "Tell her I'm on my way." 2 hours later, Marcus sat beside Shadow's crate at the veterinary clinic. The dog was awake now, groggy from anesthesia, but alert. His tail thumped weakly when Marcus reached through the bars to stroke his head. "You did good, boy. You did real good." Shadow licked his fingers. Lily was asleep on a cot in the corner, exhausted beyond her years. Elena sat nearby, typing on her laptop, dark circles under her eyes. "Federal team picked up Ashford," she said quietly. "He's in custody at an undisclosed location. His lawyers are already screaming, but we have enough to hold him." "What about Tyler?" "Surgery for his injuries. He'll survive, whether he talks or not." Elena shrugged. "We'll see." "And the children?" Elena's face softened. "Maya Santos is with her mother.
The others are in protective custody. Social workers are tracking down their families. She paused. You saved them, Marcus. You and Shadow. We all did.
Elena was quiet for a moment. Then she stood, walked over, and sat beside him. What Ashford said, about the network, about how deep it goes. I heard. I have to pursue it. You understand that, right? Even if it's dangerous, even if it destroys my career. Marcus looked at her, this woman he'd known for less than 2 days, who had been beaten and tortured but refused to break. I know. Will you help me? He thought about Lily, about Shadow, about the quiet life he'd hoped to build in Cedarbrook. That life was gone. It had been an illusion from the start. Yeah, he said. I'll help you. Elena smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We're about to make some very powerful enemies. I know. Elena's smile didn't fade. But I'd rather fight with someone I trust than hide alone. Shadow whimpered, and they both turned to look at him. The dog's eyes were fixed on Marcus, steady and calm, filled with something that looked almost like pride. He's saying he wants to fight too. Lily's voice came from the cot. Marcus turned to see his daughter sitting up, rubbing her eyes. You should be sleeping. I heard you talking. About the bad people. About how there are more of them. Marcus exchanged a glance with Elena. There are, but I want to help. Lily, I'm serious, Dad. She swung her legs over the side of the cot and faced him. Maya is safe because I took that video. Those other kids are free because Shadow and I came to help. I'm not just a little girl anymore. Marcus felt his heart break and swell at the same time. You'll always be my little girl. I know. But I can be brave too. You taught me that. He opened his arms and she ran into them. Okay, he said, his voice rough. Okay. But we do this my way. Training, preparation, planning. No more running into danger without thinking. Deal. Elena watched them, something unreadable in her eyes. You've got a good kid, Commander. The best. Lily pulled back, her face serious. What happens now? Marcus looked at Elena, then at Shadow, then back at his daughter. Now we rest, we heal, and then we go hunting. For the bad people? For all of them. Lily nodded slowly. Good. Outside, the sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. A new day, a new beginning. But Marcus knew the real battle was just starting. Harrison Ashford was just one head of the Hydra. Cut it off, and more would grow. But that was tomorrow's fight. Today, he held his daughter. His dog was alive. And for the first time since Afghanistan, he had something he thought he'd lost forever. Hope. 3 weeks passed like a fever dream. Shadow learned to walk again on the 14th day. Marcus watched him take those first trembling steps across the clinic floor, Lily cheering beside him, and felt something loosen in his chest that had been clenched since Afghanistan. He's stubborn, Dr. Chen said, smiling. Like someone else I know. He gets it from his handler, Marcus replied. I was talking about your daughter. Lily grinned and knelt beside Shadow, wrapping her arms around his neck. The dog's tail wagged furiously, his whole body shaking with joy. You're a warrior, Lily whispered. Just like Dad. Elena arrived that evening with news. The safety deposit box was everything Ashford promised and more, she said, spreading documents across the kitchen table of the safe house they'd been using. Names, dates, financial records going back 15 years. Wire transfers to offshore accounts. Communications with buyers in 6 different countries. Marcus studied the papers. How high does it go? Higher than I feared. 3 federal judges,
2 senators,
a deputy director at Homeland Security. Elena's voice was grim.
and that's just the American side. We're looking at an international network with tentacles everywhere. What happens now? We build the case piece by piece. We find witnesses willing to testify. We protect them until trial. She paused. It's going to take months, maybe years. And Ashford? Denied bail, maximum security. His lawyers are fighting, but the evidence is overwhelming. Elena allowed herself a small smile. He's not going anywhere. What about Tyler? The smile faded. That's complicated. His lawyers are pushing hard for juvenile treatment, claiming diminished capacity, parental coercion, psychological manipulation. He tried to kill my daughter. I know, but he's 16, Marcus. The system treats juvenile offenders differently. Lily appeared in the doorway, Shadow limping beside her. He knew what he was doing, she said quietly. He told me what happened to kids who caused problems.
He smiled when he said it. That's not someone who is forced. Elena studied the girl for a moment. Would you be willing to testify to that? In court? Lily looked at Marcus. Dad? Marcus felt the weight of the question. His 12-year-old daughter, taking the stand against a family that had tried to destroy them. The pressure, the publicity, the danger. But he also saw the determination in her eyes, the same determination that had made her climb out a window when intruders came, the same determination that had sent her running across open ground to help him. It's your choice, sweetheart. I'll support whatever you decide. Lily turned back to Elena. I'll do it. Someone has to speak for Maya and the others. Elena nodded slowly. You're braver than most adults I know. I learned from my dad. The first trial began 6 weeks later. Not Harrison Ashford. His case was still being built, layer by layer, witness by witness. This was Chief Harold Benson, the police chief who had looked Marcus in the eye and told him to stop asking questions. The courtroom was packed. National media had descended on Cedarbrook, turning the quiet harbor town into a circus of cameras and microphones. Marcus sat in the gallery with Lily, watching as Elena presented evidence she had spent months gathering. Phone records, bank statements, testimony from officers who had finally found the courage to speak. Chief Benson received over $200,000 in payments from Ashford Industries over a 5-year period, Elena stated. In exchange, he ensured that complaints against Tyler Ashford were dismissed, that investigations into missing children were closed prematurely, and that anyone who asked too many questions was either silenced or driven out of town. Benson's lawyer objected. Speculation. It's documented, Elena replied calmly. Every payment, every closed case file, every reassigned officer. The pattern is undeniable. She called her first witness. Deputy Sarah Thorne was young, barely 30, with short blonde hair and eyes that held years of buried guilt. Her hands shook as she took the oath. Deputy Thorne, how long did you serve under Chief Benson? 4 years. During that time, were you ever asked to alter or suppress evidence? Thorne's eyes flickered to Benson, then away. Yes. Can you give the court an example? The Santos case. Maria Santos reported that her daughter Maya had been assaulted by Tyler Ashford at school. She had photographs of bruises. Chief Benson told me to lose the file. And did you? Thorne's voice cracked. Yes, God help me, I did. Why? Because he said the Ashfords would destroy my career, my family, everything. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I was a coward. I knew it was wrong, and I did it anyway. The courtroom was silent. Elena handed her a tissue. "Deputy Thorne, why are you testifying now?" Thorne looked up, and for the first time, her voice was steady. "Because a 12-year-old girl showed more courage than I ever did. Because children were hurt while I looked away. Because I have to live with myself, and I can't do that anymore if I don't tell the truth." Marcus felt Lily's hand slip into his. He squeezed it gently. The testimony continued for 3 days. Officers who had been transferred for asking questions, social workers who had been threatened, teachers who had been silenced. One by one, they took the stand and spoke the words they had been too afraid to say. Principal Whitmore broke down completely. "Harrison Ashford called me personally," she testified. "He said if I didn't protect his son, he would have me fired and blacklisted. I'd never work in education again." "And you believed him?" "Everyone believed him. He owned this town. He owned all of us." "Did you ever witness Tyler Ashford harm a student?" Whitmore's face crumpled. "Yes, many times. I told myself they were just children being children. I told myself it wasn't that serious. But I knew. Deep down, I always knew." "What changed?" Whitmore looked at Marcus and Lily in the gallery. "Commander Cole. He looked at me like I was exactly what I was, a coward protecting a predator. And his daughter," she wiped her eyes, "his daughter stood up when adults wouldn't. That shame will follow me forever." On the 4th day, Benson was found guilty on 12 counts: corruption, obstruction of justice, conspiracy, accessory after the fact to assault. The judge handed down the sentence without hesitation. 25 years, no possibility of parole for 15. Marcus watched them lead Benson away in handcuffs. The man who had told him to stop making waves. The man who had protected monsters while children suffered. Justice felt hollow. But it was a start. 2 months later, Tyler Ashford's hearing began. The defense strategy was exactly what Elena had predicted. Psychological experts testified about the effects of parental abuse. Character witnesses described a troubled boy failed by the system. Lawyers painted a picture of a child manipulated by a monster. Marcus listened with growing fury. "This is insane," he muttered to Elena during a recess. "They're making him the victim." "The defense is doing their job. We have to do ours." "How?" "Lily's testimony, the other children, the pattern of behavior that no amount of spin can explain away." Lily took the stand on the 3rd day. Marcus had never been more proud or more terrified. She sat in the witness box looking impossibly small, her dark hair pulled back, her hands folded carefully in her lap. But her voice was clear and strong. "He told me the kids who cause problems disappear," Lily said. "He said his father makes it happen. He smiled when he said it, like it was funny." "How did that make you feel?" the prosecutor asked. "Scared, but also angry, because Maya Santos was already scared, and he was making it worse." "Did you see Tyler Ashford assault anyone?" "Yes. He pushed Maya into the locker so hard she couldn't breathe. And he hit me when I told him to stop." Tyler's lawyer stood for cross-examination. "Miss Cole, isn't it true that you come from a military family?" "My dad was a Navy SEAL." "So you're trained to see enemies everywhere?" "Objection," the prosecutor interrupted. "The witness is 12 years old." "Withdrawn." The lawyer smiled. "Miss Cole, did you actually see Tyler Ashford strangle anyone?" "I saw him put his hands around Maya's neck. I saw her face turn red. I saw her crying." "But you didn't see him squeeze?" Lily's jaw tightened. "I saw enough." "Your Honor, I'd like to—" "I'm not finished," Lily interrupted. The courtroom went silent. "Miss Cole," the judge said gently, "please let the lawyer complete his questions." He asked if I saw Tyler hurt someone. I want to answer completely. The judge considered, then nodded. Go ahead. Lily looked directly at Tyler, who sat at the defense table in a neat suit, his expression carefully blank. I saw you the day before the helicopter. You were in the hallway at school, and you cornered Maya again. You told her that she was going to be sold, and that no one would ever find her. Lily's voice shook, but didn't break. You said her mother would cry herself to death, and you laughed. I recorded it. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Tyler's lawyer went pale. Your Honor, we weren't provided with any such recording. Because I just remembered it, Lily said. It's on the cloud. My dad showed me how to back up automatically. Elena was already on her feet. Your Honor, we request a recess to retrieve and authenticate this evidence. The judge granted it. Marcus met Lily in the hallway, pulling her into a hug that lifted her off her feet. Why didn't you tell me? I forgot until just now. When he looked at me like that, like I was nothing, it all came back. Lily pulled back, her eyes fierce. It's on my phone, Dad. I know it is. Elena joined them, phone in hand. Lily, I need access to your cloud account. I'll give you the password. 45 minutes later, they had it. Audio, clear as day. Tyler's voice, mocking, cruel, describing in detail what would happen to Maya Santos. And worse, references to other children, other sales, other disappearances. This changes everything, Elena breathed. Tyler's lawyers requested a plea deal that afternoon. Marcus watched through the conference room window as negotiations unfolded. Tyler's mother, a thin, nervous woman Marcus had never seen before, sobbed quietly in the corner. They're offering testimony against his father in exchange for reduced charges, Elena explained. Juvenile detention until he's 21, then supervised release. That's not enough. It might be what we need. Tyler knows things about the network that even Harrison hasn't revealed. Names, methods, locations. He tried to kill my daughter. Elena's hand found his arm. I know, but sometimes justice means making deals with devils to catch bigger ones. What do you want me to do? I want you to let Lily decide. Marcus found his daughter sitting outside the courtroom, Shadow's head in her lap. The dog had been allowed as an emotional support animal, a small victory that had required a surprising amount of legal maneuvering. Hey, sweetheart. Lily looked up. Her eyes were tired but clear. I heard them talking about the deal. What do you think? I think Tyler is a monster, but his dad made him that way. She stroked Shadow's ears. If he helps catch the people who hurt those children, maybe that's more important than making him suffer. You're not angry? I'm furious. Lily's voice was steady. But Dad, you taught me that anger is a tool. Right now, using Tyler as a tool to save other kids seems smarter than just punishing him. Marcus sat beside her, marveling at the woman she was becoming. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. Tyler took the deal. Over the next 6 weeks, he provided testimony that broke the case wide open. Names of buyers, locations of safe houses, methods of transport. The network that Harrison Ashford had spent decades building began to crumble, piece by piece. Arrests followed. The deputy director at Homeland Security, 2 senators, a federal judge in California, business executives, lawyers, doctors, people who had hidden behind respectability while participating in unspeakable crimes. Elena worked 20-hour days, coordinating with agencies across 3 continents. Marcus served as her unofficial security consultant, vetting witnesses, assessing threats, ensuring that the people who came forward were protected. And slowly, the children were found. Not all of them. Some had disappeared years ago, into markets that left no trace. But 17 were recovered in the first 3 months. Frightened,
traumatized, but alive. Maya Santos testified at Harrison Ashford's trial. She was 12 now, the same age as Lily. Her mother sat in the front row, clutching a rosary, tears streaming down her face. "He came to my house," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Tyler, he said his father wanted to meet me. He said I was special." "What happened when you met Harrison Ashford?" Maya's hands twisted in her lap. "He looked at me like I was something to buy. He asked how old I was. He asked if I had any brothers or sisters. He asked if my mother would notice if I was gone."
For these crimes, I sentence you to 7 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. May God have mercy on your soul, because this court has none to offer. Marcus was sitting between Lily and Elena when the sentence was read. Lily squeezed his hand so hard his fingers went numb.
"It's over," she whispered. "It's finally over." But Marcus knew better. The network was damaged, not destroyed. The powerful men Ashford had named were fighting back, hiring lawyers, claiming innocence, attacking witnesses. The battle would continue for years. But this moment, this victory, was real. He looked at Elena, and she was looking back at him. Something passed between them, unspoken but understood. They had won this fight together. And whatever came next, they would face it the same way. The town of Cedarbrook held a memorial service for the children who had never been found. 7 names read aloud in the town square. 7 candles lit against the fading winter light. 7 families who would never have closure, but finally had acknowledgement. Marcus stood at the back of the crowd, Shadow at his side. The dog had healed well, a slight limp that would never fully disappear, but otherwise whole. Lily stood with Maya Santos and her mother, their hands linked. The 2 girls had become inseparable in the months since the rescue, bonded by trauma and the determination to overcome it. Elena gave the closing speech. "These children deserved better from us. They deserved protection, and we failed them. We failed them with our silence, our fear, our willingness to look away." Her voice carried across the square. "But their memory demands more than guilt. It demands action. It demands vigilance. It demands that we never again allow evil to flourish in our midst, because confronting it is inconvenient." She paused, and her eyes found Marcus in the crowd. "I came to this town to investigate a crime. I found something much larger, a community that had surrendered its conscience to fear. But I also found courage, in a 12-year-old girl who refused to be silent, in a Navy SEAL who could have walked away but chose to fight, in a dog who gave everything to protect those he loved." Shadow's tail wagged slightly, as if he understood. "Cedarbrook will never be the same. Good. The old Cedarbrook was built on lies and maintained by silence. The new one, the one we build together, will be different. It will be a place where children are protected, where the truth matters, where ordinary people choose courage over comfort." She stepped back from the microphone. The crowd was silent for a moment. Then someone began to clap. Then another. Then the entire square was applauding, the sound rising into the cold winter air like a prayer. Marcus felt something shift inside him. For 15 years, he had fought wars in distant lands, protecting a country he rarely saw. He had lost friends, lost his wife, nearly lost himself to the darkness of combat. But standing here, in this small town that had nearly destroyed his family, he understood something for the first time. The real war was always here, in the choices ordinary people made every day, in the courage to speak when silence was safer, in the love that refused to surrender to fear. Lily appeared at his side, her eyes bright. "Dad, are you okay?" Marcus put his arm around her shoulders. "Yes, sweetheart. I think I finally am." Elena joined them as the crowd dispersed. "What now, Commander?" Marcus looked at her. This woman who had been beaten, tortured, nearly killed, and never stopped fighting. "Now we rebuild. Together." Elena smiled, and for the first time it reached her eyes. "I was hoping you'd say that." Shadow pressed against Marcus's leg, his warm weight a constant reminder of everything they had survived. In the distance, the harbor lights flickered to life, reflecting off the dark water like scattered stars. Cedar Brook was healing, and so were they. 1 year, 365 days since Marcus Cole had found Elena Cross bleeding in a garbage dump. 365 days since Shadow had thrown himself from a helicopter to save a 12-year-old girl. 365 days since Cedar Brook had begun its slow, painful journey from darkness into light. Marcus stood on the porch of their new house, a modest place on the edge of town overlooking the harbor, and watched the sunrise paint the water gold. Shadow lay at his feet, gray spreading through his muzzle now, his limp more pronounced on cold mornings. But his eyes were still sharp, still watchful, still ready. "You're up early." Elena appeared beside him, 2 cups of coffee in her hands. She wore one of his old navy sweatshirts, her dark hair loose around her shoulders. "Couldn't sleep." "Nightmares?" "No, just thinking." She handed him a cup and leaned against the railing. "About what?" "About how different everything is. A year ago, I thought I was coming here to hide, to disappear, to pretend the world couldn't touch us anymore." "And now?" Marcus looked at her, this woman who had become his partner, his confidant, his best friend. "Now I understand that hiding was never the answer. The darkness doesn't stop just because you close your eyes." Elena was quiet for a moment. "The network is still out there. We hurt them badly, but we didn't destroy them." "I know." "There will be more fights, more investigations, more danger." "I know that too." She turned to face him fully. "And you're okay with that? After everything?" Marcus set down his coffee and took her hands in his. "Elena, I spent 15 years fighting wars I couldn't win. Wars where the enemy was always somewhere else, always someone else's problem. I was good at it, but it was never enough." He paused. "This is different. This is home. These are our people. And if there are more monsters hiding in the shadows, then we'll find them. Together." Elena's eyes glistened. "You know, for a tough Navy SEAL, you can be pretty eloquent. I had a good teacher." "Who?" "Lily. She's been making me read poetry." Elena laughed, a real laugh, full and warm. "That girl is something else. She's the best of both of us. Her mother's heart, my stubbornness. And Shadow's courage." As if hearing his name, the dog lifted his head and looked at them. His tail thumped once against the wooden boards. "Speaking of Lily," Elena said, "she asked me something yesterday." "What?" "She asked if I was going to be her stepmom." Marcus felt his heart skip. "What did you tell her?" "I told her that was up to her father." Elena's gaze was steady. "What do you think, Commander? Is it up to you?" Marcus had faced down terrorists, warlords, and men who killed without conscience. He had never been more nervous than he was at this moment. "Elena Cross, I'm not good at this. At words, at feelings, at all the things that are supposed to come naturally. But I know what I know." He swallowed hard. "I know that when I wake up, you're the first person I want to see. I know that when I'm scared, you're the only one who makes me feel brave. And I know that whatever comes next, whatever darkness we have to face, I want to face it with you." Elena waited. Is there a question in there somewhere? Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "Will you marry me?" Elena stared at the ring. A simple band, nothing flashy. Exactly what she would have chosen for herself. "You had this planned." "I've had it for 3 months. I was waiting for the right moment." "And this is the right moment? Coffee on the porch at 6 in the morning? "It's the moment I finally found the courage to ask." Elena took the ring from the box and slid it onto her finger. "Yes." "Yes?" "Yes, Marcus Cole. 1,000 times yes." He pulled her into his arms and held her like he would never let go. Shadow barked once, his tail wagging furiously, and from the doorway a voice rang out. "Finally!" Lily burst onto the porch in her pajamas, throwing herself at both of them. "I knew it! I knew you were going to ask! Maya owes me $10. Marcus laughed, the sound strange and wonderful in his own ears. "You bet on this?" "I bet on everything. It's called strategic thinking. You taught me that." Elena knelt to meet Lily's eyes. "Is this okay with you? Really?" Lily's face was serious for a moment. "Elena, you saved my dad's life. You helped save those kids. You let me be brave when everyone else wanted me to be quiet." She threw her arms around Elena's neck. "You're already family. This just makes it official." Elena held her tight, tears streaming down her face. "I love you, Lily. I love you too, Mom." The word hung in the air, precious and fragile. Marcus watched his 2 girls embrace, and for the first time in years, he felt whole. The wedding was set for spring, but before the flowers could bloom, the darkness returned. It started with a phone call. Marcus was at the hardware store, buying supplies to fix the back fence, when his phone buzzed. Unknown number, encrypted signal. "Commander Cole." The voice was distorted, mechanical. "Who is this?" "A friend, or an enemy. That depends on what you do next." Marcus stepped outside, away from other customers. "I'm listening." "Harrison Ashford is dead, killed in his cell last night. The official story will be suicide." Marcus felt the cold spread through his chest. "And the real story?" He was silenced. He knew too much about too many powerful people. They couldn't risk him making any more deals. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're next on their list, Commander. You and Agent Cross. And your daughter." Marcus's hand tightened on the phone. "If you're trying to scare me, I'm trying to warn you. The people Ashford worked with don't forgive. They don't forget. And they don't leave witnesses." "Then why help me?" A pause. "Because I was part of it once. Because I did things I can't undo. Because maybe, just maybe, helping you is a way to balance the scales. I need more than cryptic phone calls. Check your email. There's a file. Names of the people coming for you. Timeline. Methods. Everything I could gather." "And what do you want in return?" "Nothing. Just survive, Commander. Survive and keep fighting. Someone has to." The line went dead. Marcus drove home at twice the speed limit. Elena was in the kitchen when he burst through the door, Shadow instantly alert at the commotion. "What's wrong?" "Ashford is dead. Murdered in prison." Marcus pulled out his laptop. "And we're next." He opened the email and found the file. Encrypted, but Rodriguez's software cracked it in minutes. What he saw made his blood run cold. 3 assassination teams, professional contractors, deployed to Cedarbrook within the week. Target list: Marcus Cole, Elena Cross, Lily Cole. "Oh my God," Elena breathed. We need to move. Now. Where? I don't know, but we can't stay here. Lily appeared in the doorway, her face pale. Dad? What's happening? Marcus looked at his daughter, this brave, brilliant girl who had already survived more than most adults ever faced. Bad people are coming. We have to leave. But the wedding can wait. Your safety can't. Lily's jaw set in that way he knew so well. I'm not running forever, Dad. I'm tired of being scared. This isn't about being scared. Yes, it is. It's always about being scared. They want us to run, to hide, to give up. Lily walked toward him, her eyes fierce. You taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to act despite fear. So let's act. Elena and Marcus exchanged glances. She's right, Elena said quietly. If we run now, we'll be running forever. They'll never stop. Then what do you suggest? Elena's expression hardened into something Marcus recognized. The face of a federal agent preparing for battle. We don't run. We fight. But this time, we do it on our terms. They had 72 hours. 72 hours to prepare, to plan, to transform their home into a fortress. Marcus called in every favor he had ever earned. Former SEALs, intelligence operatives, people who owed him their lives and had never forgotten. Rodriguez flew in from Virginia with equipment that definitely wasn't legal. Perimeter sensors, motion detectors, encrypted communications. He spread the gear across the kitchen table. And a few surprises for anyone stupid enough to breach the property. This is insane, Elena muttered. We should be calling for official backup. Official channels are compromised, Marcus reminded her. Ashford's network had people everywhere. We don't know who to trust. We trust each other, Lily said. That's enough. Dr. Chen arrived that evening with medical supplies and a determined expression. I'm not leaving, she announced. Shadow is my patient, and I don't abandon my patients. This is dangerous. I've lived in this town for 30 years, Commander Cole. I watched it rot from the inside. I was too scared to do anything about it. She met his eyes. Not anymore. Maya Santos and her mother appeared next. We heard, Maria Santos said simply. We came to help. Mrs. Santos, you need to take Maya somewhere safe. Safe? Maria's voice was sharp. You saved my daughter. You gave her back to me. There is no safe without people willing to fight for it. Maya stepped forward, her small hand finding Lily's. We're not leaving. Marcus looked around the room. This strange, unlikely army of wounded warriors and scared civilians, and one limping German shepherd. All right, he said. Then let's get to work. The attack came at 3 a.m. on the third night. Marcus was in the command post they'd set up in the basement when the first alarm triggered. East perimeter, Rodriguez reported. 3 signatures, moving fast. West perimeter, Elena added. 4 more. They're trying to flank us. Marcus grabbed his weapon. Everyone to positions. Remember your training. And remember, we do not fire unless fired upon. These are professionals. They'll expect us to panic. What do we do instead? Lily asked. She was stationed in the safe room with Maya, Dr. Chen, and Mrs. Santos. We let them think they're winning. Then we show them they're wrong. The first team breached the east fence exactly where Marcus expected them. The modified sensors detected their approach and triggered the first surprise. A network of flashbang grenades that turned the night into blinding daylight. Screams, confusion, the sound of men stumbling, falling, cursing. Marcus moved through the chaos like a ghost, disabling them one by one. 3 professionals, reduced to blind, disoriented targets. East team neutralized, he reported. West team is inside the property, Elena responded, heading for the main house. Let them come. Rodriguez, are you in position? Ready and waiting, Commander. The West team was more careful. They advanced slowly, using cover, scanning for traps. Professional. Disciplined. But they didn't know about the underground passage Marcus had dug 3 weeks ago. Elena emerged behind them. FBI, drop your weapons. They spun, but Rodriguez was already there, flanking from the other side.
Bad night to pick the wrong house, he said. The contractors evaluated their options. 4 against 2, but with unknown threats still hidden. The math didn't favor aggression. Weapons clattered to the ground. Smart choice, Elena said. But Marcus knew it wasn't over. There's a third team, he said into his radio. The file said 3 teams. We've only accounted for 7 men. Where are the others? As if in answer, glass shattered upstairs. The safe room. Marcus ran. He took the stairs 3 at a time, Shadow somehow keeping pace despite his limp. The dog's bark was a war cry, ancient and furious. The safe room door was reinforced steel, but the attackers had come prepared. A shaped charge was already attached, seconds from detonation. Marcus didn't think. He tackled the lead attacker, driving him away from the door, away from his daughter. The man was big, well-trained, but Marcus fought with a father's desperation. They crashed through a window together. The fall was short, but brutal. Marcus felt ribs crack, tasted blood, saw stars. But he kept his grip on the attacker's throat. "Who sent you?" he demanded. The man laughed, blood staining his teeth. "You think killing us changes anything? There are always more. Always. Then they'll find the same welcome. Your daughter is marked, Cole. She'll never be safe. Never." Something snapped inside Marcus. Not his control, not his discipline. Something deeper. He leaned close to the man's ear. "Then I'll burn down everyone who marks her. Every name, every contact, every shadow they hide behind. I will not stop until there's nothing left but ashes." The man's eyes widened. "You're insane." "No, I'm a father." He rendered the man unconscious with a single precise blow, then forced himself to his feet. Inside, he found Shadow standing guard over the safe room door, teeth bared, blood on his muzzle from an attacker who had gotten too close. "Good boy," Marcus whispered. "Good boy." He opened the door. Lily enough to bring down the entire operation. "Why now?" "Because you proved something tonight. You proved that ordinary people, fighting for something real, can beat professionals who fight for money. You proved that courage matters more than resources." The voice cracked slightly. "You proved what I stopped believing a long time ago." "What's that?" "That the good guys can win." The line went dead, and in Elena's inbox, a file appeared. 300 pages of evidence. Names, dates, locations. Everything they needed. The trials took 8 months. Senators, judges, intelligence officials. One by one they fell. The network that Harrison Ashford had served, the Hydra they had feared, was finally, definitively destroyed. Elena received commendations from 3 different agencies. Marcus was offered a position training federal tactical teams. But the greatest reward came on a spring afternoon in Cedarbrook. The wedding was small. Just friends, really. Rodriguez and his wife, Dr. Chen, Deputy Thorne, now Chief Thorne, the Santos family, and a handful of others who had stood with them when standing meant risking everything. Marcus stood at the altar in his navy dress uniform, Shadow sitting proudly beside him with the rings attached to his collar. When Elena appeared, Marcus forgot how to breathe. She wore a simple white dress, her hair down around her shoulders, her smile brighter than the spring sun.
Lily walked beside her, serving as both flower girl and maid of honor. "You look beautiful," Marcus managed when she reached him. "You look terrified." "I am terrified." "Good. That means you're taking this seriously." The ceremony was brief but profound. "I promise to fight beside you," Elena said, her voice steady. "In every battle, seen and unseen. I promise to love your daughter as my own. I promise to never let you face the darkness alone." "I promise to stay," Marcus replied. "When it's hard, when it's scary, when every instinct says to run, I promise to stay." "And Shadow?" the officiant asked with a slight smile. "Does he have any objections?" The dog barked once, tail wagging. "I'll take that as a blessing," Marcus said. The reception was simple: food, music, laughter under string lights as the sun set over the harbor. Maya and Lily danced together, their giggles floating on the evening breeze. Marcus found himself standing alone for a moment, watching. Elena appeared beside him. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking about how close we came to losing all of this. How many times things could have gone differently." "But they didn't." "No, they didn't." He turned to face her. "Why do you think that is?" Elena considered the question. "Because we refused to give up. Because when it mattered most, ordinary people chose to be extraordinary. Because love is stronger than fear." "That's poetic." "I learned from Lily." They both laughed. Lily ran over, breathless and happy. "Dad! Elena! Maya wants to know if Shadow can do his tricks." "Shadow is retired," Marcus said. "He's earned his rest." "He's not retired. He's a hero. Heroes don't retire." As if to prove her point, Shadow trotted over, ears alert, tail high. The limp was there, but so was the spirit, unbroken, undefeated. "All right," Marcus conceded. "One trick." Shadow sat, then lay down, then rolled over on command. The small crowd cheered. Maya knelt beside him, wrapping her arms around his neck. "Thank you," she whispered, "for saving us." Shadow licked her face, and she laughed, a pure, joyful sound that made every battle worth fighting. Later that night, after the guests had gone and Lily was asleep, Marcus and Elena sat on the porch. Shadow lay between them, his breathing slow and peaceful. "What happens now?" Elena asked. "We live. We love. We protect what matters." "And if the darkness comes back?" Marcus looked at his wife, then at the house where his daughter slept, then at the dog who had given everything and asked for nothing in return. "Then we face it together. That's what families do." Elena leaned her head against his shoulder. "I like the sound of that." "Me too." They sat in comfortable silence as the stars emerged one by one over the harbor. Cedarbrook had been broken. It had been corrupted, infected, nearly destroyed by the evil that grew in its heart. But it had also been healed by courage, by sacrifice, by ordinary people who refused to look away. Marcus thought about everything they had survived, the attacks, the betrayals, the moments when hope seemed impossible. And he realized something. The miracle wasn't that they had won. The miracle was that they had fought at all. That a wounded veteran had chosen to stand when running was easier. That an FBI agent had refused to surrender when surrender was safer. That a 12-year-old girl had found her voice when silence was expected. That a loyal dog had given his body to protect the ones he loved. These were the miracles. Small, quiet, human miracles that didn't make headlines, but changed everything. Shadow stirred, lifting his head to look at Marcus with those wise, patient eyes. "You did good, boy," Marcus said softly. "You did real good." The dog's tail thumped once. Then he settled back down with a contented sigh. Elena was asleep now, her breathing soft and even. Marcus stayed awake a while longer, standing guard as he always had. But this time, he wasn't guarding against enemies. He was guarding something far more precious. Peace. Home. Love. And in the end, those were the only things worth fighting for. The truth had risen. Justice had prevailed.
And in a small town by the sea, a broken family had become whole again. Not through miracles, but through the simple, stubborn choice to keep loving, keep fighting, keep believing. That was the lesson Cedarbrook would never forget. That was the legacy Shadow and Marcus and Elena and Lily left behind. That courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision that something else matters more. That darkness cannot survive where ordinary people choose to be light. And that love, faithful, stubborn, unshakable love, is the most powerful force in the universe. This is not just a story about heroes. This is a story about us. About the choices we make when no one is watching. About the courage we find when everything is lost. About the love that refuses to surrender no matter what. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember that good still exists in this world. Comment below where you're watching from and tell us what part of the story moved you most. And remember this, always. In a world that often feels dark and broken, you have the power to be someone's light. You have the power to speak when others are silent. You have the power to stand when others run. You have the power to love when love seems impossible. May God bless you, keep you safe, heal what hurts, and guide your steps toward peace today and always. Because every child deserves protection. Every truth deserves to be spoken. Every act of courage matters. And every faithful heart can change the world.